Glad to see everybody here. What we're really about is making things simple. You've seen a lot of great technology earlier on from Constantine and other people. We're into leading edge technology, but putting it together to make it really very simple to deal with a huge amount of problems we have on this toxic planet. So the first thing is, what is consciousness? Well, the definition from Oxford Dictionary is pretty bland. The state of being aware of and responsive to one's surroundings. We would say that definition is balanced, rhythmic interchange between spiritual, mental, physical and emotional. Very much along the lines of Walter Russell's work, Concept of a New Universe, and all the wonderful books that he wrote. So cosmic consciousness, really, that's what it's about. If we don't help our fellow men, not only ourselves, we've got a problem. And that's exactly where we are now. Everyone wants to buy the three-piece suite and pay for it in 3 years' time. They don't care who made it and how much it cost, how much they earned to make it. So really, it is exactly the Vedas, the Ayurvedic medicine, and it's a galactic consciousness because it's about interchange between us and every other thing on the planet. Connection with our sun and the planets, the galaxy, and very much to do with the sun and the earth, and we're part of a large experiment. And I think we're doing relatively well because we're the last in a long line of experiments, so that's why we're kind of cheerful about it. And of course, when we look at as above, so below, there's a brain cell and there's the universe. Quite amazing, isn't it? Exactly the same. So it really is as above, so below. We've got to get that in firmly into our heads. And we're talking about devices and technologies here. Normal consciousness is the tip of the iceberg, but everything we're going to say from now on, you've got to think about what we don't say, because that's what's important. We're going to talk about pain resolution, but that's all we're going to say, really. But think about what we're not saying, and you'll begin to see where we're coming from. So 3 possibilities at the moment. You can either take action, if you understand something, and do something. You can either take action, which is the most important thing. We all need to take action and do something about the situation we find ourselves in. And that's great. Act iron. Remember what Gandhi said. You've really got to be the change you want to see in the world. And if we can do that, we can make a massive change. The other thing is nescience. And thanks to Mark Passio for pointing this out a lot. Nescience is you're not aware there's a problem. Kids get on a bike, go down a hill, oh, suddenly there's a problem I didn't realise. That's nescience. And you can hardly believe it these days, can you? Go around and someone tells you there's a balcony and be careful it's not at ground level. What's happened to people? We've lost the plot. Or a lot of people have lost the plot. It's a bit like in America when you get a bag of nuts and it says, warning, this contains nuts. I mean, it is nuts. I mean, there's nothing else you can say about it. Of course, you know, but all the lemmings are running off the cliff, and nescience is they're just walking off the end of the cliff. They go, oops, there's a cliff. And on the way down, they actually enjoy it. Everyone's destroying things and actually happy that they're destroying things. Look at the film They Live. It was telling us, and a friend of mine, John Irwin, said, the people are stopping the people getting to the people. So who's carrying out the orders? Who's carrying out this craziness? It's people like you and me, but not like you and me probably. That's why you're here, because you're more conscious. Ignorance. What is ignorance? Well, ignorance is ignoring something. It's not being ignorant you didn't know. That's nescience. Ignorance is ignoring a problem. So this guy was chasing the bulls in India, where I've just come back from, kind of figured out probably the bull might chase him at some stage. And what a great photograph that is. And then, of course, these are the ignorant ones because they're all asleep. They've had it. They're ignoring it. What happens if you have a pain in your leg or your back and you ignore it? Well, probably going to get worse. Can't do that, can we? And, of course, doctors are ignoring everything. Oh, just take the vaccines. If you go to a doctor now and ask him to, you know, he's going to vaccinate your child and tell you you've got to do it, take one of our forms and ask him to waive liability and admit that all these things are in it. I tell you what, he won't sign it. So really, we're not paying attention, are we? We're all distracted to the media, and we've got a serious problem. How are we going to wake people up? How are we going to give them a choice to change their life when they're either nescient, they don't know there's a problem, or most people are ignorant. They know there's a problem, but they choose to ignore it. And it will come back to roost. As Travis Walton said, I come to realise that the biggest problem anywhere in the world is that people's perceptions of reality are compulsively filtered through the screening mesh of what they want and do not want to be true. This is the problem, isn't it? If people are stuck in that paradigm, how can we change that paradigm? Because they're affecting everybody. This is a river in Africa. Denial. Everyone's got their head firmly put into the sand, hoping it won't happen. But we need some good vibrations. We need some good sounds to start waking people up a tiny bit. And maybe the penguin's got the right idea. So, natural law. It comes back to natural law. Constantine was talking about that earlier on. If we don't follow natural law, we're going to have problems. This is natural. Positive, love, consciousness, knowledge, sovereignty, freedom, order. The opposite of that is negative, fear, ignorance, confusion, control, chaos. And of course, if you can control the media, etc., and create chaos in people's thinking, then very nice, thank you very much for corporates who can then milk that to their own advantage. So really, how do we get to this stage? What can we do to really start giving people a choice and start waking them up? This actually is a water crystal from, there's a friend of mine called Peter Chappell. He actually consciously thinks about things into water, and so far, there's a workshop tomorrow at 2 o'clock, do come along, we'll tell you more about it. So far, his AIDS remedy, this is a picture that Masaru Emoto took of his AIDS remedy, around about 10,000 people have been cured of AIDS taking just water. And this is an actual shot of the water crystal that Peter has put his consciousness into. So things are happening. Things are very positive. It's getting worse and better at the same time. You've just got to decide, when you look into the abyss, what side you want to be on. We need this kind of thing, don't we? We want to unlearn the programming. And we're born intelligent and often kind of grow pretty stupid, or programmed to be stupid. By the way, I've been really quick with this because we've only got a limited amount of time. So it's a little harder to be conscious when you have chronic pain. How many people in this room right now have some sort of pain? Could you just put your hand up if you've got some pain? 1, 2, 3, probably at least 30%. Who in this room knows somebody in pain? Probably everybody. So it's a major thing. Pain is the biggest destroyer of consciousness. And of course, if you're into Western medical system, taking Western medical drugs, you're not going to get to the root of the problem. It's a symptomatic issue. You're just going to take care of a symptom. You might think you're better, but in fact, it's got a lot worse. And of course, what about emotional pain and stress? How many people now are having serious problems through stress? And I'm not sure exactly, whether all those bankers jumping off roofs are just stressed or they were pushed off or what's happening to them. But it's kind of interesting that there's a lot going on right now with emotions. And of course, all physical disease is a manifestation of deep-level emotions that haven't been dealt with. So what is disease? Typically, it's no hope, degenerative, damaging surgical intervention, allopathic drugs, side effects, LD50 ratings of how much of that drug will be so toxic it'll probably kill you. They all come with that warning, don't they? All pain-related chronic long-term problems and all the other side effects they come with. Fear. Who has back pain over the kidneys? Kidneys in Chinese medicine are fear. Everyone now has this kind of back pain, headache up here, they're in fear. They're in fear because they don't know what to deal with the situation. But usually it's because they're ignorant. They're ignoring it. They know there's a problem. The analogy is they're walking along a pair of train tracks with their head down and they can hear the rails rattling. But they don't want to look up because they're scared of what's coming. Well, I'd rather look up because once I see the train coming, I'm just going to get off the tracks. And then consciously we just derail the train further down the tracks. That's what we've got to do. Main steps to problem solving. It's pretty basic when you really get stuck into it. We've got to realise there is a problem. If we're not awake and aware and don't know there's a problem, we just walk off the cliff and go, whoops, I didn't mean to do that, but I have. Denial is the first thing. We've got to realise that it's the cause we've got to look at, not our sensory 5 sense perception of effect. That's all we're seeing is effect. Where's the cause? That's why people have a problem. They don't know where the cause is. And then we've got to take action. So that little girl with a dog, maybe just mucking about, she may think the dog's got a problem. but she's actually taking action to try and do something. So we need a new approach, and what we do at 21st Century Energy Medicine is we take new approaches and we make them very simple, we put them together. So we get things that really work with a global network of other people and give people a choice. So in nature, nothing happens without energy exchange. Yeah? We need communication. So if two people don't talk, they get divorced, so they fall out. Two countries don't talk, there's a war. And on it goes right through the cosmos. So we've got to realise this is a rule of nature, and we can ignore nature if you want to, but nature will not ignore us. Very, very simple. So, where's this energy going to come from to change this? Well, the whole principle of creation lies in equal giving. Walter Russell. Has anyone here heard of Walter Russell? Well, fantastic, but if you haven't, you must read Atomic Treatise, Concept of a New Universe, The Secret of Light. It's quite amazing. This guy was doing this stuff 50, 60, 70 years ago. He knew exactly what was happening, and he said what was going to happen. And now scientists are coming round to understanding what he was saying is real. It's about knowing, not sensing. Okay, so where's it going to come from? Well, people like you. Yeah. It's only going to come from the people. As I think a famous president once said, it's never going to come from the government and people above them, because they're too much in control, usually, but we know there's some good guys out there too. So all these people, whether they're just having fun, learning more, having knowledge, and then having inspiration to put something together. So how to raise consciousness with energy and information? What's the simplest ways of doing it? So just to give you an idea, we've been detecting energy fields for quite some time. I know Constantine touched on this before as well with his work. But, you know, we've got chakras. I've just come back from India. We've done a lot of bioenergetic research there. We've treated people from the jungle, on the side of the road, in clinics, all over the place with simple technologies that really work and run on 9-volt batteries. Amazing. Just like, who's heard of Organise Africa? They've been putting orgone generators into Africa and creating rain. Well, imagine you did that, you put this technology in there. Crikey, you've got a complete revolution. This is going to change the world. But at the moment, it's kind of flying under the radar a bit because, you know, I mean, I would say that there's some good drugs, yeah, some important drugs, but majority of drugs for chronic problems are just not working. And we need to combine. We need to do both things at once, give doctors a choice, and more importantly, the people a choice to choose for themselves. So, think about it. First detected the heart field with 2 million coils of wire, quite a long time ago, 1963. Started looking at electrons tunneling through insulating barriers, etc., 1973. All this stuff goes back in the annals of history, really. Things, squids, superconducting quantum interference devices. So when you shield a room, you can actually see the energy coming from healers' hands. Massive outputs, but you have to shield it from the other energy to pick it up. Recordings of things like electrocardiogram and the heart and the lungs and different fields. All have been done, and I think it's probably fairly well known now. Most people in this room are probably aware of that. And then we look at, in MIT, to record the brain's magnetic field. And what do we know about the heart's magnetic field? It's about 1/millionth weaker than the Earth. That's quite something. 1 million people, the heart field is the same field as the Earth coming up there. And we've got all these wonderful squids developed to pick up things, to prove things. We've got readings of magnetic induction from different fields of the body. Everything has a field. And what we know about electromagnetic fields is they just go on forever. They get half weaker with distance. So what that means is we are really all connected. Every time we have a thought, that thought, which is electric, we're electric beings, creates an electromagnetic field, and that goes on to the end of the universe instantaneously. So we are all connected, we are really all one. So all these clever people thousands of years ago were bang on what they were saying. And look at the websites. This is 2006. Look at how many websites on biomagnetism, for example. We're talking, and we're now talking 2014. Look at this. It's quite amazing, isn't it? Why isn't this stuff everywhere? Why aren't people spending at least a small fraction of money on this stuff rather than drugs that don't seem to go anywhere apart from make lots of money for people selling them and have big toxic effects for people taking them? and so many conferences. I'm just giving you a bit of a thing to say that this really is very well known if anyone's actually watching for it. And look at all these wonderful systems here, very expensive systems looking at brain waves, hats with picking things up and putting onto screens and being analysed. So many ways of putting small microcurrents in the body and seeing the body's response. That's been done not just by the Russian space program, which we mainly deal with in many ways, but by lots of scientists everywhere. Look at all this stuff. It's amazing. And when we look at things like people who use things a lot, like people playing instruments, we see that the ends of their fingers have more nerve impulses, then things happen more. There's more of an output. So think about people using their consciousness, their pineal gland, all these things. You're going to have a bigger output, you're going to have a bigger influence on others. And when we think about conscious calibration, the work of Hawking, Professor Hawking, calibrating consciousness. It just means that some people who are highly conscious can balance the great unwashed, if you like. It's a balancing act. Think of the healer with his hands here. It's been proven in these squids. There's a massive output. And if we do things repetitively, we are getting huge responses, especially with healing. And think about the crystalline structure of the body. It actually is acting as though we have a squid in our body that's being protected from the outside. We can generate things internally. This is quite something. Look at the spin of all these things. Look at the collagen. Think of collagen in the body, DNA, all these things that are producing energy at a deep level, acting like squids. And we think of healers, picking things up with their hands, picking energy up. If you start practicing this in the workshop tomorrow, we're going to do some body scanning. Show you how to body scan just with your mind, see what comes up. You'd be surprised. And then we're going to use some of the scanner Pain Genie technology to prove what's coming up, because that will tell us as well. And then, of course, with hands we can give treatment. Anyone seen Eric Pearl, Reconnection? A lot of healers using hands. Of course, that's the ultimate, and all of us must aim to get there. But as a mid sort of ways of getting to this understanding, we can use technology, why not? I think someone else just said about technology does work, and some technology, when it interfaces with the body, to a large degree works incredibly well. Okay, so this is about body scanning. We'll do tomorrow at 2 o'clock if you want to come along. I'm not sure what the cost or anything else is, but we'll let you know tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun, a lot of treatment. We've done lots of trials with Pain Genie scanner technology, because we use the Pain Genie as one of the most amazing devices to take away pain, but do a lot more than that. And we've done a lot with thermal imaging, for example. So, for example, you can see the person down here. Yeah, he has 10 out of 10 back pain. That's white hot. And after about a 4-minute treatment with the Pain Genie, completely gone there. And there's some areas that faded about 2 minutes afterwards. These are where the blockages were, where we treated. And then it went completely. We've got medical thermal imaging, we've got biofield scanning, and you'll know about Harry Oldfield. Yeah, PIP scanning. Biofield viewer, another important technology there. Korokov, yeah, GDV, gas discharge, fantastic, improving. And as we can see, before and after, for example, we see that over here, the body field, all kind of broken and twisted a bit, and then we see afterwards, see how much stronger that is. This is after one 10-minute treatment. It's huge. I wonder what he's thinking. What is he sensing? Or is he just chilled out? Because when you're with nature, you really are in tune, and unfortunately, most of us have just lost our way because we've got all these other solutions that I won't have time right now to tell you about, but we certainly will run through tomorrow. And he's probably just thinking, well, he's going to have a supper, I think. Probably sensing where it is. But perception's the important thing, isn't it? Perception. I'm not sure why I put that one in. I just happened to be there. I lost my slides in India, so I had to do this on the flight on the way back last night. But perception's important, isn't it? You know? Mugabe Brown. Just read through that list. Kind of interesting. One is overt, one's covert. And then we can look at things like the use of food supplements in the EU and the completely undamaging effects of them compared to things like drugs and everything else. But everyone doesn't talk about that. I guess they're just ignoring it. And we're allowing governments and people supposedly in positions of power to look after us just to ignore it. So there's a saying that we get the governments we deserve. I think that's right, isn't it? We've got to stop ignoring things and actually take them on and take action. And of course, we've got to have fun, haven't we? We're all different. And that's only volume 1. No, I'm kidding. So, what we use as a major catalyst in removing blockages and accelerating healing is very simple. We use something called the Pain Genie, which is using the scanner technology from the Russian space program, and that's always the first thing we use. And it's simple. Anything that's simple typically usually works. And this is genuine technology. So what we use tried and tested techniques for acute and chronic pain. Accelerated healings, it's a lifestyle choice because this technology from the space program was originally developed as a preventative to prevent things happening. And we give online access. We try and give people everything they need to start taking care of their own health. We're not saying don't go and see a medical doctor. We're saying, yeah, go and have a diagnosis, of course. But you have the choice. You decide what you want to do and take your own advice and make your own knowledge there. The Pain Genie has been called the most powerful self-treatment device in the world. Anthony Hughes Natural Medicine Clinic, he's got over 13,000 clients. He knows what he's talking about. He's seen it. We've had a leading medical doctor write about us as a solution to the healthcare crisis. A leading doctor in 1999, when he addressed the Royal College of Surgeons and Nurses, said then that if they put this technology into the NHS, they would save billions of pounds. Not millions, billions. 1999, 15 years on, guess what? We do have doctors and nurses treating each other with it, but we don't have anyone treating anyone in the NHS. It's surprising, isn't it? Because they want 1 million trials. They want all these things done. Well, crikey, the Russians have been doing this. We've been doing it for about 15 years. It's amazing. We have got studies, over 400 studies from around the world. How much do they want? Results. Well, I just put a few videos together very quickly to give you a very brief idea. I don't know whether this is going to work if I click on it. No, we've got no sound.
Should have.
Should we?
Yep, it's on. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing coming out?
I'll put it up here to see if it's from here or from your end.
Okay. I could just try plugging this in very quickly.
No, there's nothing coming out.
Okay.
Maybe your volume, is your volume off or muted?
Yep, here it is.
It could be.
Yeah, maybe something. Can't understand why.
Sarah, have you registered?